Greetings from the channel again. Phoenix Recap. Now I'm going to explain an American martial arts film, Boyka Undisputed. Boyka, Scott Adkins, mistakenly kills an opponent in the ring, causing him to question everything he's worked for. When he learns that his opponent's widow is in danger, he becomes her champion through a series of seemingly impossible fights. Yuri Boyka, an MMA fighter, lives in Kiev, Ukraine. He is Europe's best fighter and was crowned undisputed champion in one evening. Boyka is fighting in an illegal match in an underground arena while the crowd cheers, and he doesn't let his opponent land a single blow on him. He knocks out his opponent in midair after a brief one-sided fight. The setting shifts to a Russian maximum security prison. The inmates fight for the entertainment of the guards and the warden. Such matches appear to be friendly to the outside world, but with the right participants, they can quickly turn violent. The most lethal prisoner of all time is a man named Koshmar. He's so forceful that the guards have to chain his limbs and close his mouth to keep him from hurting anyone outside the ring. Mars's opponent is half his size and can barely punch him. He slams the man to the ground, breaking his neck, and then punches him in the face. When his face is deformed and covered in blood, the fight comes to an end. Kashmar is well known for eliminating all opponents. He fights against showing no mercy to them. He is more of a monster than a human being, and he feels no mercy for killing so many people. Unlike him, Boyka is a good man. It's out of the ring. He hasn't had a great life as he was imprisoned for several years and is a wanted criminal in Russia. But he has managed to put his past behind him and is striving to be a better person. He even assists the church in Kiev and is constantly doing charitable work. One day, a priest suggests that he consider pursuing another career. The priest has always been supportive of the boy's passion, so the comment comes as a surprise to the fighter. Boyka responds that his talent is a gift from God and that he is unwilling to give it up. He wishes to fight as a professional rather than in an illegal setting. In the late afternoon, Boyka is contacted by his manager, who informs him that he can now legally compete in legitimate MMA matches. He has been invited to compete in the European Fighting Tournament in Budapest if he wins a qualifying match. The day of the qualification match arrives. Because it is one of the most important battles of the boy's life, he is willing to give it everything he has. His opponent is a Russian named Victor. The match begins, and Boyka scores the first effective kick. Within the first few minutes, he demonstrates his defensive abilities, deflecting every single attack directed at him. Boyka's attack becomes easier as Victor becomes more frustrated. The judges on the sidelines are already impressed, so when he knocks Victor out with a knee to the jaw, his qualification is confirmed. Everyone believes the game is over. However, Victor surprises them by standing up seconds later. He has been knocked down again, but he refuses to accept defeat. Boyka is frustrated, so he delivers a third punch to Victor's face, knocking him out. Following the victory, the organizers invite Boyka to fight in the league in Budapest, which will open many doors for him. The manager gives Boyka a large sum of money and tells him that the next match is in 2 weeks. Boyka notices Victor is in critical condition as she is leaving. He feels bad for inflicting such pain on him and would never have done it if he had given up after the first knockout. Boyka recalls the priest's advice and admiration for Victor's quick recovery. He wakes up at night with a nightmare about killing an opponent in the ring. He goes to the manager the next morning and inquires about the Victor. To his shock, Victor died in the hospital last night, he is told. Nobody is to blame because they signed a pre-match contract. Boyka, on the other hand, knows in his heart that he is the cause of the death. Obviously, when questioned about the Victor's family, the manager hands him a bag that belongs to him. Within it, Boyka discovers a letter from Victor's wife as well as a photograph of the couple. In reading the letter, he understands the emotional pain his wife must have felt when she learned of his death. The boy then decides to apologize to her and ensure she is not having any problems in life. He knows that his crime will never be forgiven, but he refuses to abandon the path of redemption. Boyka informs the manager of his desire to travel to Russia to meet Victor's wife, but the manager is strongly opposed to the idea. Boyka is still a criminal in Russia and will be imprisoned if he is discovered. He will have to fabricate a fake passport, which is a huge risk now that he is so close to becoming a legitimate MMA fighter. Boyka understands the consequences but is adamant about his decision. In the following, we meet Victor's wife Alma at his funeral after his death. Alma is alone in life and has no one to turn to. Furthermore, her shareholders are indebted to a crime boss named Surab. He attends the funeral and proposes to Alma as his mistress to pay off Alma's debt. Alma is disgusted by his presence, but she takes care not to irritate him. She simply says she'd rather work hard and pay him in installments. Alma is the owner and resident of a community center. She and Victor built it with money borrowed from Zurab, and it now houses many orphans and people in need. Upon arrival in Russia, Boyka goes to meet her but notices her being driven away by a group of men in a black car. Zurab's underground fighting club. It turns out she works as a waitress and he is very protective of her and treats her like his property. That afternoon, Boyka visits the fight club and encounters Alma. When he attempts to speak with her, Zurab's people stop him and escort him outside. Boyka wants to avoid a fight, so he politely asks when she will be leaving work. The gangsters attack him in response to the question, but in turn teaches them a lesson about messing with a professional fighter. Zurab watches Boyka fight and is impressed by his abilities. He has been needing a good martial artist and his club wants to hire Boyka. However, the man claims that he is not here to engage in fights. He simply wants to meet the girl, and Zurab offers to speak to her on his behalf because she refuses to let him meet her, but Boyka disagrees and walks away. When he is out of sight, Zurab requests that his people keep an eye on him. The day after that, Boyka sneaks into the community center and meets Alma. He gives her a letter and asks if she is forced to work at the fight club. Alma responds that she would prefer to work somewhere else but is constrained by her debt. She then reads the letter to him and asks if he witnessed her husband's last fight. Boyka comes clean, admitting that he was the last person Victor fought. He tries to explain that Victor's death was an accident, but Alma refuses to listen to her husband's killer. However, he will have to forget all of the Amans that have died. Boyka must win 3 matches against the opponent of Zurab's choosing. The gangster also promises to protect him from the police and authorities because he knows he entered Russia with a fake passport. The next day, Alma meets Boyka to tell him she doesn't need his pity. She wants him to return home, but Boyka insists he is doing this for his satisfaction. After that, he goes to a nearby gym to train for the matches, but he is bullied by a man who keeps poking him. Boyka knocks him out with a single kick, and on the day of his first fight, he faces off against a local fighter in an easy match. The opponent lands a few weak kicks but is exposed in front of someone as good as Boyka. He knocks him down and is about to throw the final punch when he stops midway through his relief. His opponent accepts defeat so he doesn't have to hurt him any further after the fight and almost serves some drinks. Boyka asks if she is familiar with a nice local gym because the one he is currently using does not meet his standards. Alma pauses for a moment before inviting him to use the gym at her community center. He trains there for a few days, and Alma eventually grows accustomed to his presence. Boyka's next match will be a 2-on-1 against a pair of brothers. He is taken aback because he was never informed of these rules. Zara boasts that it is his arena and that the fighters must follow the rules. The match begins, and Boyka finds it difficult to defend against both brothers at the same time. When he tries to fight one, the other attacks, making it difficult for him to focus. Nonetheless, he manages to push one away and knock the other down in the seconds it takes them to recover. It's a close match until Boyka is kicked in his already injured lower back. The pain is unbearable until he notices Alma in the audience and continues fighting. He then kicks both of their asses, resulting in a double knockout. The crowd bursts into tears because no one expected him to win this match as well. The next day, Zurab approaches Alma and attempts to flirt with her, but she rejects his advances. He accuses her of sleeping with Boyka and riles her up by claiming that her husband's death was not accidental and that Boyka intended to murder him. She almost pretends not to believe him, but the comment bothers her. Meanwhile, Boyka, his Ukrainian manager, calls him back right away because he has a press conference for the fight in Budapest. Boyka requests that it be postponed because he only has one more fight to win. Upon reaching his room, he finds Alma waiting for him. She urges him to tell the truth about her husband's death, and Boyka starts telling her about all the hardships he has faced in life. He reveals that the first half of his life was miserable and that the match against Victor was his only chance at a better life. He gave everything he had, but Victor's death took away a larger part of him. He understands that accepting his assistance will be difficult for Alma, but he begs her to allow him to do what he needs to do at night for the final match. Boyka could go against Igor Zhu, Rob's best fighter, who has been mocking Boyka since the day he arrived. Igor is especially enraged at Boyka because he poses a threat to his position in the gang. He unleashes all of his rage on him, attacking him repeatedly. He fights hard, making Boyka's lower back his main target, but the fight shifts when Boyka lands a double mid-air kick on him. Following that, he beats Igor in black and blue, causing him to bleed profusely until he passes out, winning the tournament and almost paying off his debt. However, Z-Rap has already predicted and prepared for the outcome. He stops Boyka and reveals that he needs to fight one more man for their deal to be over. Boyka only has a few hours before his crucial meeting in Budapest, but he doesn't want to leave without saving Alma. As a result, he asks the manager to postpone the fight until the next morning and prepares to face the final champion. Koshmar the Beast is the opponent, and he has fought and killed all of his opponents in the Russian prison. Because of his violent nature, he is brought into the arena and changed. The fight begins, but Boyka is already exhausted. He tries his hardest, but his attacks appear to do little to no harm to Koshmar due to his physique. The Beast led several punches on him before kicking him in the jaw. Boyka is knocked down by the impact and struggles to get back up seconds before losing the fight. When Koshmar is almost certain that he has won, Boyka takes him by surprise and pushes him back with a kick. He gathers his strength and stands up again. The fight then shifts to his side, and he holds the Beast in an arm lock, breaking his right arm before kicking him out of the ring. With this, he finally wins the match, but Zurab is still not ready to let go of Alma, so he has his minion attack Boyka while he tries to flee with the girl. When he sees Alma being pulled outside, he is at his lowest. He attacks the guards and kills them all with renewed zeal and anger and frustration. Finally, he obtains Zurab and tackles him to the ground. Boyka is shot in the process, but his anguish overpowers his pain. Zurab is eventually strangled to death. Alma tries to assist Boyka, but he stops her by asking for her forgiveness. Later, the police arrive and arrest him before dragging him away. He asks her again if she forgives him, but Alma refuses to give him a reply, and Boyka is returned to a Russian prison. Alma visits him a month later and tells him that he has been forgiven. Boyka is relieved for the first time in months, even though his plan to become a professional fighter fell through. In the final scene, we see him defending his undisputed title in the prison arena. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe for more entertaining content. And hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.